Cool. So today I will be covering strings. So yeah. Mhm. So I will be covering, the things, the topics that are there in the book. Then the book, it's chapter 13. The book is very, very well written actually. You could read the book and get most out of it. Whatever we are doing in the lectures also, it corresponds to that. I feel the book is very well written. Okay, so let's start then, guys. Okay. Hello, can you hear me? Is my voice clear? Okay. Tarun, you can maybe increase the volume on your phone or microphone maybe. Because I'm speaking very close to the mic and I'm very loud actually. So I don't think it's a problem from my side. Okay, so let's discuss strings today. Okay. So very brief. I mean, the, to start with, this is the first string that you have encountered, right? And this is the first program you encountered in your course. So now let us look at this program from the string perspective. So what do you see here? You see hello world. So now concentrate on the hello world part there. What is that hello world? So the hello world is a string literal. So just remember these two words. It's called a string literal, which the printf prints out on the screen. Can anyone? Okay, anyone? I'll ask you questions later on maybe. So how is this string literal stored in memory? When your program compiles, I in the very first class I told you something about program data, right? The data which is and there were certain types of program data which you give as a part of your from your input devices like the keyboard, data which is there, which is part of the program itself. Your constant values are your program internal data, which is not coming from outside, which is already there as a part of your program. So string literal is that internal program data which is there inside your program. So this is called a string literal. How it is stored in your memory? Whenever your it's stored as an array of characters. So whenever your loader or whenever your compiler compiles your program and gives it to the loader, so what happens is it will pick up the string literal and it will allocate and will put it in some space of the program memory, because your program has some memory, right? It has some operating memory. So it will place there in that part of that memory. And then how would the printf access the string? The printf would the printf would go to that memory, it will read the string and it will print it out on the screen, right? But now there is a very, very important difference here. So when I say okay, so when I say an integer, right, whenever I say, let's say okay, let's say int x equals to 2. So whenever I say an integer x equals to 2, so this is an area, right, in a program memory which is named x. The program knows, right? The program knows that integer is always going to be of 2 bytes. So it knows that it will just go to that place where x is placed, and it will just read the 2 bytes off from that memory, and it will give it to you inside your program for it to be used inside your program. But when it comes to a string literal or a string value being stored in memory, the string does not have any fixed length, right? Because what if I just add all these characters at the end? I have just increased the size of the string. That is, now it is occupying more space. So how would any function, printf in this example, how would any function know where your string ends? Because for other type of data, for example, for characters, it's 1 byte long. For integers, it's 2 bytes long. For floats, it's 4 bytes long maybe. So you know, I mean those values, I mean those data types have a fixed, they, those things have fixed sizes, right? And I can just go there and just pick those many number of bytes, and then just say, okay, this is the entire value that I have read off from memory. But for strings it's different, because strings, this value of this literal, this constant string which is stored in memory, this can be of any variable size, and there has to be a way of letting the I mean letting your compiler, or your letting your load letting your runtime behavior of a program know that this is the place where your string ends. So how does this happen is, whenever your loader loads this string in memory, right, it will start loading from hello, it will start loading the first character into a memory, and then in the next address it will load e, in the third address it will load l. All these are continuous address, by the way. H, let's say h starts from address number 10, so 10 h, then 11 goes to e, 12 l, l o, and then subsequently all these characters will be stored one location after another. Now when you are at the end, that is when you have placed d in a certain location, after d, you store one more character. So that character is called this one, what is that called, it's called a null character. So I mean that's a null. So that character is \0. So that means in your storage of your hello world, your your loader will also store a \0 at the end of, after storing the character d. That means there is a hidden \0 stored here. This \0 acts as the delimiter for the string. That is, whichever function is processing the string, it will know that the string has ended by reading the character \0. If this \0 was not there, let's say there was no way of that, let's say there is no mechanism of putting a \0, then what would happen is, your function will simply keep on reading characters after characters, like even after d it will keep on reading, because it does not know where to end, right? Because all the bytes following d, let's say d is located in some byte, all the bytes following d, those bytes will also have some values. It will treat all those values as a part of the string and keep on printing it. Actually it will keep on printing it, there is no way. So that's why this \0 acts as a delimiter for your string in memory. Now I told you, so now what is the, is this point clear, guys? Why do you need the \0?
Sir, I didn't understand what would happen if we didn't have the \0.
Yeah, I'm coming to that. I know I know there will be a confusion here. See, for the other kind of data types, you see the entire data type at once. I mean, let's say you are a function. I mean, let's say you are a program and you are standing in front of your memory, right? And then you can see the locations in your memory. Just visualize this picture. You are your program and you are standing in front of your memory, right? And then whenever I see an integer, you see the 2 bytes, and then you can see both the bytes together, and then you read both the bytes and say, okay, this is the integer value. Whenever I say a float, you see all the 4 things together, and then you say, okay, this is the what to say, this is the float value and this is its value, this is the float area and this is its value. But then when it comes to string, you cannot see the entire string at once. It's not possible, right? Because a string could be a very big string, it could be a string of, let's say, 1,000 characters. And your vision, I mean, when you are, just imagine you standing in front of your memory, you cannot see the entire string. It's not possible, because it can span way lot many number of bytes compared to the conventional data types, right? Integer and floats. What do you do in that case? You just have a handle, or just you can only touch the starting address of the string. That is, you can only see the starting address of the string. That is, if the string starts at address 10, you can only see the address 10, the location 10 on in memory. You cannot see the other locations at all. How do you know how the other locations are part of the string? You start from that location and you keep on seeing the next byte, the next byte, the next byte, the next byte. And this is how you incrementally see the entire string in your memory. And the moment you see a \0, now you know, okay, this is the end of my string, and the end, and therefore this is what my string looks like. So don't think that printf is looking at all the characters in one shot. It's not doing that. What is printf doing? Printf is simply, first, printf has a handle on the starting location of hello world. And what is the starting location of hello world? The starting location of hello world is the address where the character h is placed. Printf just knows about that at the very beginning. After that, printf will keep on going to the next character bytes, and then it will print everything on the way. The moment it sees a \0, it knows the string has ended, and then it will print that string. Did I answer your question?
Yes, sir.
Because you are not looking at the entire thing at one shot, right? So then there has to be some delimiter. It's very logical. If the delimiter was not there, how do you know when do you have to stop seeing? You will keep on seeing, right? Maybe maybe you will see your entire memory, and then at some point you say segmentation fault because you just ran out of program memory. So that's why it's important. So now, yeah. Any questions here? Okay, so let me make that point clear to you guys now, the point that I was making. So now tell me, what would my program print? Oh, sorry. Yes, tell me, what would my program print? You can type in or you can speak up. No, no, not exactly. Yes, exactly. Rahul is correct. It will print the address. Let me show it to you. See, this is the address 4195796. This is the address where this particular string is loaded in memory, because printf has access to that only, the address, starting address. After that, it will go one character by character and print the entire string. But when I just say this with a percentile d, it will just print the string. Sorry, it will just print the starting. It will print the starting address of the string, or the, and what is the starting address of the string? The starting address is the address where h is located, the character h. After that e, after that llo, and then the other characters. No, h is not a pointer here, guys. Remember this, h is not a pointer. I have not used pointers anywhere. So this entire expression here, right, the thing that is between these double quotes, this is giving me the address of this thing. This thing is giving me the address. This expression is giving me the address of this string. That's all. It's not a pointer as such, because printf needs the starting address of this. That's all. And after that, visually I can see that there is a string inside, but what the printf will see is, printf will just see an address value instead of this. So the view for printf is something like this. The view for the programmer is I'll just write it. Wait. So our view is hello world, right? But the printf will see it as a big number. The printf will see this expression as a number, and that number is the starting address of the string, where of the address where this is located in the memory. How do you know that number is not some garbage? I mean, this number, right? The percentile d number that we printed. Are you talking about this? It generally is not, because if you read the book is also saying the same thing. It is an address. Okay, so just to make it more clear, since you are saying about garbage, you guys are clear on character pointers, right? Yes, no?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you know that character pointer means a variable that can store the address of a character, right? Yes, so now let me put that thing into practice here. So since someone was asking, how do I know that is not a garbage? So if I say pointer P, now let me do this. See, now if this particular expression, right, if this particular literal or this particular expression, if this was not giving me an address value, that means my program should return a syntax error, isn't it? Because whenever I have an equal to operator, both the data types on the left hand side and the right hand side should match, right? If the data types don't match, then I would get an error. So now if the data types match, right, now if I don't get an error during compilation, that means this expression on the right hand side is giving me an address value. What is the address value? The address value is the starting address of this string where it's loaded in memory. And what is the starting address? The starting address is the byte where H is loaded, because all the other values follow after that. Now let us compile it and see. Okay, for that matter, let me just print the value of the pointer as well. See, I also get an address value here. I mean, this is a different address because it will be loaded in different places now every time during when it runs. But then I see an address here. How do I know it's not a garbage? Because I have just printed the value that is stored in the pointer, right? And pointer stores addresses. That means this was an address value that was stored in the pointer. If this was not an address, that means there would have been a syntax error saying you cannot place this value here. That's why this is an address. Any questions here, guys?
Sir, pointers are of like integer type, right? Yeah, like int star type. Like I have a doubt, like how did you declare the char and star p?
Okay, okay. So I think sir has mostly discussed integer pointers with you guys, right?
Yes, sir. Only he declared a int star type
Yeah, yeah, I
things.
know, I know. I got the same doubt from the morning batch as well. See, see, when you speak about pointers, right? So by definition, what is a pointer? See, we have discussed a lot of other types of variables, right? We have discussed integer variables. What does an integer variable store? Integer variable stores an integer, right? It's a location in memory that can hold an integer. Same for that character and same for the float. Now, what is a pointer? Pointer is a location in memory which stores the address, which stores an address. And what is that address? Where is the address coming from? The address is from your program memory, and mostly your program's data memory. I mean, the part of your program which stores the data, right? That address is coming from that place. I mean, the pointer stores an address, and that address is coming from your data memory of your program. Now, that is fine. That is good. That the pointer can store an address value, as in it will be a big number, right? But there is another important thing here. You have to clearly differentiate between what kind of data that address which the pointer is holding, what kind of data does that address contain. See, if you just think about your program memory as a set of addresses, right? Those addresses will contain variables, and then whenever I touch an integer variable, I am touching an integer address, isn't it? I mean, that address belongs to an integer, right? So that means I am touching an integer type of address.
Yes, sir.
Whenever I'm touching a float value, that means I'm touching a float type of address. Same for that matter for a character type of address. That's why you have different types of pointers for holding values corresponding to that type. For example, if an address holds integer type of values, you have to use an integer pointer.
Okay.
Let me do this now. If I just say integer, let's say, if I try to do this, I will get an error. See, what does it say? The right hand side, right? So this is giving me a character pointer. That means it is giving me an address of a memory. It is giving me an address of a memory that stores characters. So the starting address would be a character value, right? It will be an address of a character. An address of a character can only be stored in a character type of pointer, not an integer type of pointer. That's why the type of the pointer also matters. Is this clear?
Yes, sir.
That's why you have different types of pointers: character, integer, float pointer, corresponding to the data type which that address holds.
Sir, and when we define the pointer, we wrote int star of p. Like here it is like you have declared int and star p. Like what is the difference?
I didn't get you. Can you come again?
When we declare an integer pointer,
Yeah.
we wrote int star space some variable a, like that.
This one.
Yeah, like int star is the data type, not int.
No. Your pointers are always. This is not a data type. You have to say integer space pointer star.
Okay. Okay.
See, when I do this, right, I will get an error. I will get some other kind of error. Yeah. So indeed, don't see with pointers. You should say that. See, the pointer declaration is something like this. First, you have to say that what is the kind of what kind of data does that address hold. You just say that first, and then you say star, and you say the pointer name, variable name.
Yes, I got it.
Yeah. Okay. Good. So someone is asking me, so int p won't give an error, right? No, it will not give an error. So let us say, I think so. Let's see. I put a big number here. Let me see what happens. But you should never do these kind of things because you don't know what that address is, right? It will end up somewhere else. Yeah, see, there was no, oh, no, there is an error. Yeah, there is an error. Obviously, there will be an error, no? Because the right hand side is an integer, right? See, the right hand side is an integer, but the left hand side is an integer pointer. So the pointer has to hold an address value which holds an integer. Here you are directly saying the integer. Atharva, did you get me? Good. And see, don't think like you can just pass any address. Addresses, you cannot define addresses from your side. What Atharva was trying to do here is he was just trying to say that program directly go to this address. You cannot directly ask your program to go to an address which you have typed in manually. The address has to come after the loader has loaded. It has to come from your program side. The address cannot come from your side, na? So this is wrong on a very fundamental level. Here we are assuming that we are giving the address, and now we are going to that address and getting the data. But the addresses will never come from the user side, right? From a programmer side. The address will come from the system side, because once the loader has loaded the data or the variables, then I can get hold of the addresses. But here we are trying to give the address from our side, which is wrong, right? Do you get my point, what I'm trying to say? Yeah, good. Fine. Okay, since we are here now, so let's do one very important.
I just had one doubt that the word "hello world" hasn't been saved yet, like till the second line, right?
What do you mean by saved?
Saved means saved in the memory. Is it saved in the memory still?
No, I mean it will go line by line. Yeah, it's not. Yeah, when your loader is in the first line, maybe it has not loaded yet. Yeah. What's your question? Tell me.
My question is, if hello world isn't saved yet, then how is its memory location being printed?
Okay, so there I have to go into the loading process actually. So your loader first of all scans all the internal program data that is there. Before even your program starts executing, Your loader will scan, okay, these are the program data which is there as a part of the program text. Then it will allocate memory for those program data, internal program data, and then it will start the execution of the program. So in that case, hello world and this number, maybe both these things would have been placed in memory, and then your execution starts.
Okay.
See, hello world is not it's not like you are inputting something from the keyboard, right? It's not that. Only if it was a string which was entered by the user, in that case the string is not in existence until the user inputs it. But in this case the string is part of the program itself, right? So whenever the compiler compiles, the programmer knows that there is a string there, so take this string and put it in memory and then start the execution.
Okay. And if you use double quotes in 123 123, then will it print its
No,
address?
okay, it will print, but then you have to use a character pointer, na? You get this pointer, you cannot use an integer pointer.
Okay.
Do you get this point or no? I can explain it.
Please explain it again. I didn't got
Yeah,
it.
see, just I mean, if I would have been teaching in a blackboard, I would have hidden this part with my thumb. But now, let's say this is not there. This part is not there. Okay.
Hmm.
Now, if you just look at the right hand side, what is the right hand side? The right hand side is a string, like it's a constant string or a string literal, which is part of your program's text, internal data. This string is loaded in memory somewhere, right? By your loader.
Yeah.
Okay. And then this expression here of using a double quotes with some text in between, visually for us visually it's looking like the string, right? But when you're but from your program's view, or when your CPU is executing this, the CPU will just see a address here, address. And what is the address? The address is the place from where this string starts in memory. If this string starts at location 100, let's say, so the CPU during execution will see this 100 placed here. It will not see these values. That's what I'm trying to paint. That's the picture I'm trying to paint. For us, we are seeing the numbers as it is, right? As string. This is a string now, since we have put a double quotes. But for the CPU or for an execution environment, it will see the address here instead of these numbers or instead of these characters. And how will it get hold of the entire string? It will start reading from that address, and it will go one character after another. It will go character by character by character, and the moment it sees a \0, it knows the string has ended, and then that's how it will see the entire string. Right? So this is what this right hand part means. Now, since this is an address, this is an address of what kind of data? You tell me that. What kind of data is this address pointing to?
The string.
Characters,
String
right?
Characters, right?
Characters, yeah. So
String
it is pointing
characters.
to a data. It is pointing to a data type of characters. That's why, and yeah, so this is okay. This line is done now. This part is done. We have established the fact that this is an address of characters, right? It's a character address.
Right.
Now, if you look at the left hand side, you have declared a pointer here. So what is a pointer? A pointer will hold an address, right?
Pointer holds an address.
So if I put my thumb here in the int part, if I put my thumb here, till this point it is clear now, because the right hand side is also an address, and P can also store an address because it's a pointer variable, right?
Yeah.
But the problem is, now when I remove my thumb, this is where the problem comes. This is not an integer kind of data. The address is not of an integer type. The address is of a character type.
Okay.
Because the address is of a character area, right, in your memory. It's a character array. So this 1000 is the address of a character in memory. That's why we have to use a character pointer. An integer pointer won't work. Because along with the storing of address, you also have to say what kind of data is it pointing to. That kind is also very important. If the kind don't match, then you get an error.
Okay, I think I got that one. Okay. If we use AND k and introduce an integer k, then it will print the address of integer k, right?
What do you want to say? Int?
int star p. I mean, int star p is equal to end k,
And
and then we
what is
int k int k is equal to something like 1 2 3 4 anything.
yes,
Then it will print the address of k, right?
exactly. There is no issue now, because just look at the right hand side. It's an address of what? Integer. Left hand side, it's a
Okay.
pointer which stores an address. Pointer of what? Integer. Both match, check, good. Then you're done.
Okay. Thanks, I got that one.
Okay, good. I think this is I mean, this where you guys are confused on these types of pointers, right? So just remember this, guys. The type of a pointer is also very important. Without that, it won't. Without, if the types don't match on both the side, then you will get an error. You now, is it clear why it cannot work? Okay, good. Okay, fine. So now we have explained character pointer, this. Okay, fine. Okay, so now you guys tell me what we like see as output. If I say, tell me what will I see as output on the screen? Good. Do you guys agree that we will see O? Everyone, can you guys see it? You guys don't need an explanation, right? If someone needs an explanation, you can just ask. Okay, Rishabh, you need an explanation. Okay. Okay. So just try to okay, you don't need an explanation. Okay, fine. Good. Okay, good. So yeah, so just to put it very simply, Z is the address, and then 4 is the fourth location from that address. And what is there in the fourth location? It's the character O. That's why you get O. So what do I get now? Tell me. What do I see now? What is the output? Z plus 4. Exactly, memory address plus 4. No, not O. I see memory address plus 4. Okay, now guys, there's a very important question. Do you know the difference between the pointer and star pointer? Do you know about these two things? When I use just a pointer variable, what do I get? And when I use a star along with a pointer variable, what do I get? Is this distinction clear? Yes. So star, whenever I use a star, if I use star here, so what it means is, so Z plus 4 gives me the address of the fourth value here. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I mean, it will give me the address of O, because the string starts at address H, right? Address of H. Then if I add 4 to that, it will go to all the way up to O. And then this thing here, this part here in the parenthesis, it will give me the address. When I use a star along with an address, the star along with the address actually goes to that location and gives me the data that is located in the address. So this is that star operator with pointers. It will give me the content of the value, content of the memory location, which the pointer is pointing to. Okay, now a quick question. So if I use a star pointer on the left hand side, what do I see? What do I read? So this is an assignment operator. So if I use star pointer on the right hand side, what do I see? What do I get? I get the value located in that address, right? If I use this on the left hand side of an equal to, then what do I get? Someone can reply on the text. So no. See, there are question here. If I use it, this is an equal to operator, right? If I use the star pointer on the right hand side, I get the content. Now I am asking, if I use this star pointer on the left hand side, what is happening here? Yes, we are rewriting the content of that memory. We are changing the content. Yes. So left hand side means we are writing to the address which the pointer is pointing to. Left hand side, sorry, right hand side means we are just reading the value located in the address pointed to by the pointer. Fine. You, what do you mean by percentile s? I have not discussed percentile s yet. Oh, okay. You mean to say percentile s here, right? You can speak up. You. That's fine. It's very difficult to follow the chat. हाँ यहाँ पे this is a very important thing that he pointed out. What will I see now? Tell me. What will I see as output of my program? Exactly. See, I'll tell you now. See, I see O world. Why? Oh, hello. The hello is removed now. I see only O world. Why? Remember what I told you now. This will make the picture even more clear. So printf will just see an address here, and it will start walking from that address until it hits a \0. So what address have we given to printf now? We have given the fourth address now here of O. Therefore, it will start reading it from here, and then it will go one character after another. The moment it sees a \0, that means it will print the entire string. So that means we have made printf walk from in between the string by just adding some offset to the starting address. Good. Okay, any questions till this point, guys? Guys, feel free to skip.
Sure. Hello, sir.
Yes, tell me.
Sir, the code that you wrote just now, so will it then print O plus world?
Yes, it printed O world. Yes.
Yeah, like how did world came up here? Like,
okay. See, when I have used Z, when I use Z here, okay. So what does this Z means? The Z means printf will start looking at this string from the very Z means Z is holding the first address, right, of this string. What is the first address?
yes.
The first address is of H. So the printf will start reading these characters starting from H and then go all the way up to D. And then after D, what is there in memory? After D, there is a \0 located in memory, right? There's this located. So the moment it sees a \0, that means it knows that this is the end of the string, so it will print this. But now we have given it a starting offset. That means we have made our printf read the string from the fourth character, because we have said start reading from this address now. What is this address? This address is the start. This address is O. This address is the address of O now. So the printf will start reading from O and go all the way up to D. And when it sees a \0, it knows the end of the string, and it will print O world. That's why.
Okay, sir, got it.
Got it, right? Okay, good. Okay, so now if you guys get it, so now there's one more thing that I want to show. Yes, percentage just say the particular location stops. Correct. You're correct. Okay, what will be the output of this program? Tell me. Yeah. So let us see what happens. See how many number of times I run, I will get a segmentation fault. This is really strange. What happens here? What happened here? Why is there a segmentation fault? I'll tell you. If I remove this line here, and then it will print. See, that means this line is creating the problem. What am I trying to do here? What am I trying to do here? I am trying to modify this string, right? I'm trying to modify this thing, string hello world. But segmentation fault means I am not allowed to modify. That means I am trying to alter something. I'm trying to alter something which I'm not supposed to. That's why it gave me a segmentation fault. Now, why am I not supposed to alter this hello world? Tell me that. No, through whatever you use, there will be a segmentation fault. You cannot modify this string. Exactly. Because this string is a constant value in your program, because it is part of the program text, right? And what Z is giving me is, Z is just giving me the address of that. I can read the string character by character. That's all that I can do with this string. I cannot modify it. Why? Because there is no, see, there is no, you could say, this is a part of program's memory, right? You guys accept that hello world is a part of the program's memory. But then hello world is part of the unmodifiable program's memory. Why unmodifiable? Because let's say you have something like this, right? This value 2, right? This value of 2, it is part of the program text. Do you guys agree on this? Yes, no, fast. Yes. So this is part of your program's code, right? This number 2 is part of your program code or program text, which is internal program data. Similarly, hello world is also part of your program's text or program internal data. And if I can change this, that means you're trying to go inside a region of your program's memory where your program text is loaded, where your actual program is loaded, and you're trying to change that, which you cannot change. It's something like you're trying to make this 2 to something else actually, but you cannot do this, right? Because 2 is a constant, right? It's part of your program text. So by modifying hello world, I am trying to change the program text itself, which I am not allowed to. Do you guys get this point? It's very important for us to move to the next point.
Sir, can you explain this part again?
What do you don't understand? Why am I not able to modify hello world, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. See, I tell you that you write a program, right? You have written this program. These programs, the text in the program, right? This also has to be part of the memory, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
I mean, int, int, x, char, retu, rn, all these are part of the program, are stored in your some program memory, right?
Yes, sir.
Can you go to that location and say, okay, now change the small r. Let's say now I want you to do this. Now go and change the small r to capital R. Can you do that in the program memory, in the program text area?
No, sir.
You understand that you cannot do that, na?
Yes, sir.
This hello world is also part of that memory. So it will be something like you are trying, what you are trying to do is you are trying to go to the program's text area, which is the unmodifiable area, and you are trying to modify the text located there. Hello world is loaded in that part of the program's memory where your program text is loaded, and you cannot go and change that memory. Do you get it? Hello. Okay, good. You get it. Fine. Now, what is the way out of this? Because this string literally is not going. So this is called a string literal or a string constant, which is part of your program's text memory. Yeah, we can. I mean, we can make Z point to a different string. That's fine, but we cannot. See, when you say Z, you are just making it point to a different location. That's all. Yeah, so whoever was saying that, where is that line? Yeah, then we can change the whole Z, but yeah, see, Z and the contents of hello world are two different things, right? Z is just like a visitor who is visiting this place called hello world. I mean, now you can go ahead in the program and make that Z go to some other place now, but that does not mean that you can change hello world. You cannot change hello world.
Sir, what if we use star Z of 4 equal to O?
Star.
Z of 4.
Oh, you mean to say this?
Yes, sir.
No, it doesn't make sense because this the square bracket is doing the work of the star actually. I mean, see, these two expressions are equivalent, right? This one and these things are equivalent,
Okay, okay.
right? So there is this doesn't make any sense, right, when you use this, right?
Sir, but in case of like integer arrays, we do change the values using this, right? Like,
Correct.
in,
I'll come to that. But then you don't change. See, now I can actually change the value in X. I can change it, right?
but this is a constant. Hello world. Okay, I got it, sir.
Exactly. This is a constant. I mean, this is not part of your modifiable area. It is part of your unmodifiable area, which holds your program text. Now, you will not be happy with this kind of strings always, right? You want to use something else, right? So how do you do that? How do I incorporate modifiable strings in my language? How do I do that? Tell me.
Use a char array.
Exactly. Use a character array. See, the moment I use a character array here, let's say I put it to 11 or 12 maybe. Yeah. See, now look at these two things in isolation here. Again, my thumb will not work. So let's say. Okay, so just don't look at this part. Just look at this part now. If you just concentrate here, what are you doing? You are saying, now go to my modifiable area. That is the area which I can modify nicely, not the program text area, but the modifiable data area, and give me 11 characters and put them in an array and name that array Z. Right? So this is what this thing is doing here. Go to my modifiable area, give me 11 characters, put them together in an array and call that array Z. What is the right hand part doing? Now the right hand part will say, okay, in that area, put the string hello world inside it. Right? Now what I can do is, now I don't have to worry about anything because now I have full control of this area. I can put any random thing here. See, if I now do this, what did I do wrong? Oh, I didn't put a semicolon. Oh, okay, fine. Okay, see, what is the error that I'm getting, guys? Tell me.
It should be 12, right?
Exactly, because my area is not big enough to hold. So you can actually make it a big array. I mean, just to see, now I get hello world with a modified value. Because now I have voluntarily made an area in my modifiable space and I have allocated that string inside that area, which I can modify at my wish. There's no one to stop me. Right? I will give you one more question here. So now if I replace Z4 with \0, what will I get? Tell me. What will I see? I will see hell.
Hell.
Yes, which we are all seeing anyways. Wait, printf. क्या हो यहाँ पे? Oh, I keep on missing these semicolons, man. Okay, can someone explain to me why did we see this nicely over the mic?
So because it will read all character values only till the \0. Then it thinks the string has ended there.
Exactly. That's why we see hell. So what can you do using this trick? You can truncate the strings, right? You can split the strings, you can truncate the string, right? The moment I put one backslash, and that means string is over there. I have truncated the string. Good. Fine. So is this thing clear? Previously, when I was discussing the constant, I was dealing with the program area, the text area, which I cannot modify. But now using a character array, that's how you declare strings. I have said, give me 100 characters with this particular name, and then put this string inside that area. And now I can nicely walk inside that area and modify according to, as per my wish. Fine. So there is one function called strlen. What does this function do?
Length of the string.
Yes. And how does it calculate the length of the string now? And now I think it's quite simple.
Excluding the /o.
Exactly. It will just walk on the string, and the moment it sees a backslash 0, it will just give you that value. Fine. Good.
Sir,
Yes.
in printf, does it, like when we are printing a character array, does it matter if you're putting %s or %c?
Yeah, it matters now. If you push %c, let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. Let's see if you use a character array and you use %c. What did you see? You saw nothing. You saw a question mark. Every time you are seeing some random. Because this is an address, right? This is an address. First of all, okay, how does this statement play out? Just look at this part now. What is this Z? What is this Z giving you? The Z is giving you the address, right? Because whenever you use a character, or whenever you use an array by name, the name of the array is what? The name of the array is the fill in the blanks. What? Can someone type in the chat? What does the name of the array mean? When I just use the name of the array in an expression, yeah, the name of the array means the starting address of the array, right? So that means whenever I use the Z here, I got the address. Now I am trying to make a character out of that. So that address is anyway out of the range of the ASCII chart, right? So that's why I get a question mark. Did I answer your question? Okay, good. Always try to decompose statements, guys. Just look at this part, that part, and then try to make sense. Then then things will play out easily for you.
Sir, and here like what is the difference between declaring an array and a pointer like before?
Exactly. So both are the same actually. See, before when I did this, right?
Yes.
So what happened here? What happened is I just got a handle to an address in the program's text area, right? In this unmodifiable space, I just got a handle. By handle, I mean I just got to know where in the program's text area is this particular string located, because now this is not inside any variable. Now this this string is not associated with any variable as such. I just got the address using this. But now when I have used an array, type of variable, that means this string is inside a variable now. Now I can modify the variable as in the string.
So like 100 bytes have been created to the
Exactly.
variable.
100 bytes have been created, and a variable type is a character array which has the name Z, and in that 100 bytes, the first 12 or 15 bytes hold this value, hold this string.
Okay. Yes, got it.
Okay, so that's a very like it's a very, I mean, just get it. I mean, it's not that easy to get also, but then try to think over it, then you'll get it easily. Fine. So that means, how do we store strings in your string in your program's modifiable area? I mean, in your user space, maybe in your program's user space, you just declare character arrays, and character arrays are pointers. If you just operate with their names. See, I can do this, right? I can just say 0.4. And if I do this, what will I get here? I will get the number. I mean, I'll get the character O, right? So I can use all the pointer manipulations using the name of the array, which is the starting address of the this array. So, sorry, starting address of the string inside this array. Okay, so that's it then.
Sir,
Yes.
here Z and Z of 0 will have the same address, right?
Exactly. But then to get the address of Z0, you have to use an AND operator. Because Z0 will give you the value, right? It will give you H. It will not give you the address of H.
Yes, sir. But then Z of 0 has H stored in it, right? The character H.
Yes, but the
But
square
then
of
Z has the address of it stored in it, right? It acts like a pointer.
exactly.
How can it have two different things, sir? But they have the same address, no, in the memory.
Oh, okay. So you are confused here. See, when I say Z, right? So what is Z? Z is the address of H. Wherever H is located, Z is holding that value where H is located, right? When I use pointer Z, what is this? Sorry, star Z. Star Z is giving me the value of H, right? Let's
Yes,
say,
sir.
let's
Yes.
say H is located in address 100, right? So then 1000, sorry, 10,000. So if I just use Z, that means I will get the value 1000, right? But if I use star Z, I will get the value of H.
Yes, sir. But then the address of Z itself will be the same as the address of Z of 0. That is H address.
Okay, so you are confused here actually. So Z0 does not mean Z. Z0 means star of Z.
Oh, okay.
You have missed this point. Z0 means a star. Z0 means you are accessing the value actually. If you would have used Z plus 0, that means you are getting the address.
Okay, sir. Okay.
But the square operator gives you the value inside that address, the content of that address.
Okay, sir. Understood.
Okay, so just remember this small things. Yeah. Okay, good. Okay, so now we know how we declare strings, how we store strings, and how we access strings, right? And how we modify strings. So now let's finally go to how do you read strings from the input. That's a very important part. So now let's say I don't here I have initialized it, right? So now let me just declare the variable, and I don't have any strings inside it, right? It's just a character array. So how do I declare a string? Sorry, how do I read a string from the keyboard? Does it make sense to everyone? I just use this format specifier called %s for reading strings, right? So let me just type in now. See, I got the string, but it has an issue here. What is the issue? This format specifier, it will, yeah. So what happens here? I'll tell you. See, whenever you did \a dot out, now just go to your scanf buffer class, which I took. I mean, remember that thing where we worked out the contents of the buffer and how scanf behaves with the buffer? You guys remember that, right? Still remember, it was like ages ago. But what happens is when you say hello and then you say world, my buffer has not, I mean, I have not sent a signal to scanf. The moment I say enter, scanf wakes up and then it reads the character. The moment it sees a white space character, it will treat that as the end of the, it will just treat that part as the string now. It will treat these characters as the string. And then it will append a \0 and then it will form the string out of these characters. So white space acts as acts in scanf as a delimiter. It says like, okay, this just like for remember for %d we had this if you just see a space, then we know that if you see a non what do you say, if you see a non integer type of data or non numerical data, that means it's the end of the number, and that is the number itself. Similarly for strings, if it sees a white space character, the scanf thinks now I have seen the string, now it will create the string out of that characters only that it has seen till now before the white space. So that is a problem with scanf %s, because now you cannot treat strings with white spaces. Do you get this point?
Sir, what if we just type a single word like hello and press enter?
Oh, then it's fine. Now it will just read the entire thing as a string. See?
So like, but when we press enter, it is equivalent to the reverse slash n, right? So that we should also get a line while we print it, right?
No, because that backslash n is does not go inside the string, na. See how scanf %ls behaves. I'll tell you. See. Okay. Okay. So let me just type in. Okay. So I will just type in 5 characters. Okay. I'll just type HELLO 5 characters. Okay. And then I will just see what is the stored in the 6th character. So what will be there? It will be Z of 5, right? Because this is where the string ends, right? Z5.
Yes, sir.
Isn't it? So let us see what is there, or let us just print its ASCII value. See what is stored there in the 6th place. The 6th place has a \0. So if you go to the ASCII chart, this number represents the null character.
Okay.
So that means what has scanf done is scanf has read the characters properly, and that \n does not become part of the string, because even before \n it has inserted a \0 after the characters in the string. So that's why your string ends there. Do you get it?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So that's it. But that's an issue with scanf, right? I mean, if you cannot if you cannot read multi words, because we are just reading one word at a time now. So there are functions called I'll just type it in the chat. It's called fgets and gets. Using these two functions, you can read multiple word. I mean, you can read strings with spaces in between.
Yes, sir. Like when I used that fkts only, I got this problem of the new line, sir. It was printing the new line character also.
Yeah.
So I got it out.
So what you have to do is you have to remove that new line character. I mean, you just maybe if it is part of the character, if it is part of the character array, you can just traverse it, and wherever you see it, you just remove it, or you just replace it with \0.
Yes, sir.
Okay, it will work fine. Okay, so I told you that there are functions for reading multi-word strings, right? Which contain spaces. But then what if this is the final program that I'll show you? But what if I ask you? What if I ask you to write a program in scanf %s only, but then you have to read in multiple words now? How to do that?
So you can do %s space then %s. Will that work?
Let us see. Then you need 2 character arrays, right?
Why?
Because the first %s will map its input to this Z.
Oh yeah.
इसका input कहाँ जाएगा for the second one?
Yeah.
Can you guys think of anything else?
Maybe a loop.
Exactly. The loop will help you here. Okay, let me quickly type in the program here, and then we will break. Okay. So I have a sentence now, and sentence is made up of some words. And don't worry about these sizes. I have just used some, because your strings has to be the size has to be less than the size of, more than the size of the string. That's all. So I've just given some random size. Okay. So let's start a loop now. Okay, what is the first thing in the loop? The first thing is your scanf will read multiple words, right? Every time whenever I type a hello, it will read one word at a time, isn't it? It will read one word at a time. So this particular statement here, every time it will read one word from your scanf buffer. And whenever it sees a new word, it will take that word and insert it into the sentence, which is again a character array. So how do I insert the word into a sentence? Just follow me here. Is this clear, guys? These two lines. I read a word from the keyboard, right? Every time from the scanf buffer, and I read the word now, all the characters of the word apart other than the \0, because the \0 cannot be part of the sentence. If it becomes part of the sentence will end with that word itself, right? Say yes, no.
Sir.
Good. You can type in yes, no. I mean, that's fine. So yeah, so that means this loop, this first statement, it read the word from the buffer. So Nitin, yeah, so what is happening is in the first line, the scanf will be reading one word at a time from the keyboard, because we know that %s can only read one word. It cannot read spaces, right? So it can only read one word at a time. So after it has read the word and stored the character and stored it, so now this word is the string, right? This word is the string which I got from scanf. Now this string has a \0 at the end, right? So I have to insert this word into the sentence now. But if I insert the \0 also, that means this, whenever I print the sentence will end with the first word itself, because I have inserted the \0 along with the first word also, right, into the sentence. But the \0 should have been at the very end. See, offset is just the way of inserting characters into the sentence. See, whenever I enter the first word, let's say the first word is hello, HELLO, and offset is 0, then how will this loop behave? Sentence 0 H, that is the word H, sentence 1 E, sentence 2 L, sentence 3 L, and sentence 4 L. Now the offset will be at 4. Now when I see the next word, offset would not be reset, right? Offset will still stay there. And then I will start filling the sentence from that position with the new word. Okay, I think this is clear. So now that means I have successfully inserted the words into my sentence. Now, when do I come out of this? I come out whenever I see a \n in my buffer. And how do I do that? I say get car. See, now this get car will read the leftover characters in the buffer. If after removing all the words from the buffer, if there is a \n, that means if the user has entered a \n, that means I will come out of the loop. That means my sentence is over. So let me just print it here. Guys, can someone help? Where am I wrong? Printf. Okay, printf.
सर वर्ड्स लिखा है, वर्ड होना चाहिए ऊपर कैरेक्टर.
हाँ, वो हो गया, उसको कर दिया. हाँ, good. See now. But there are two question marks. Why? Okay, so let me do one thing. I am inserting the \0 manually at the end. Okay, that's fine. I mean, some garbage was there, but then I truncated that with \0.
Excuse me, sir, I had a doubt.
Yes.
Sir, while every time the while loop reads that word, the getChar will also take up the space variable because it will like check every time, sir.
Yes.
So
Correct.
how can we like put? Do we have to manually put the space every time?
Okay, so okay, before that I will explain how is it behaving actually. See, one thing you guys must have noticed, that space is eliminated now, right? So this is the first word, this is the second word. I have not inserted space, that's why I don't see a space. You guys get this, right? Okay, so if I want to put a space, then all that I have to do is here at the end, when I have inserted the word, I have to say offset ++ equals to space. I'll come to your question, wait. See, now I see the space. Okay, so now before that, so someone might be wondering that I have entered so many. Yeah, how does this behave actually? Let me just pull up the scanf buffer here. Wait, once. How we used to draw the scanf buffers. Quickly, I just have 5 more minutes. Let's finish it fast. I don't even remember where was the. Okay, anyways, okay. So let's say this is my scanf buffer, right? So then what are we entering? Let's say we are entering Happy New Year. Fine. So what is there in the buffer? Happy is there, and then after happy there is a space. After new there is a space, and after year there is a \n. Do you guys agree on this? That this is the way the buffer is, right? Whenever I enter this. Good. So now let's say how scanf behaves with this buffer. Okay, so now let me just go to the program. Okay, see, when I launch the program, first what will happen is the scanf will go on standby, right? The scanf will be on standby until and unless I fill the buffer. So this is where I'm filling the buffer. I have typed in hello space new space year space and then \n. The moment I type this \n, what happens is I mean the signal goes to the scanf that was on standby, right? And the scanf wakes up from a sleep, and then it starts reading the buffer. First, what it will see is it will see happy, because there is this percentile s there. It will see happy, and then it will see a space. Then it will just consume this happy into the first word. That now the word will be happy, because the scanf has just woken up and seen this particular word, which is followed by a space. Now, what is the buffer contents now? Now the first word is gone, happy, and that word has been inserted into the sentence. That is, this thing has happened now. This thing has happened, right? The first word has been read by scanf. After waking up, it has read all the characters inserted into the sentence with a space at the end. And then this get car, what will this get car do? This get car will read the space. Whatever is left now, it will read this space. Now, is the space equal to a \n? No. That means the loop will go in one more iteration. Now, when this scanf will be, now when the loop goes to this scanf, there is already data for the scanf to consume in the buffer, right? There is already, what is the data that is there? Now this space is consumed. Now there is a new there. Now this second iteration, the scanf will consume the new now as the new word. And then it will again insert it, and the same behavior will be repeated in the next iteration, and the get car will consume the space. So this is gone. In the third iteration, again the scanf will wake up, and then the scanf will consume the year, right? And then the \n will be there left in the buffer. And then when the get car reads the \n, it will see I have seen a \n, and then it will come out. Not the first character. The get car reads the things that are the get car removes the things that are left in the buffer. It will read only one character from the buffer, because get car just reads one character, right? Yeah, the first leftover. Yeah, it will read the first leftover.
So here, what is the, like, why we had to use this _0? Why did we get the question marks?
Okay, because I think see, this sentence is initialized with 100, right? I mean, there are some extra things also. I mean, maybe because some extra characters are there, because I have not initialized it properly, right? This character array where this string goes to.
Okay.
So that's why that's why I wanted to truncate it at the exact position where I have fill in all the words. That's why I have put a \0.
So, but when we, in the previous case, that time also we didn't initialize the array, but we just said %s and the array. That time we didn't get anything like this.
Yeah, we wrote it like this now. We have wrote hello world like this, right?
No, sir, like I'm telling the same thing. We wrote a scanf %s, comma, the array. Yeah,
Okay,
like the
okay.
word one. Yeah.
Okay, in this case, right?
Yes. So.
Okay. See, I think what is happening is because of this logic, maybe some while space characters are coming. you guys just work out like why are this question marks coming maybe. Okay, it's just like I mean maybe somewhere I have offsetted it by more, that's why some extra things came up. But if you guys just print the ASCII values, right, so at what is the things that are going inside sentence, then you can figure out why the question marks are coming.
Okay. Okay. Sir.
Just see this program once. I'll just copy paste on the chat. I couldn't figure this out in the morning batch also, so I just gave it to as homework for them. So yeah, I'm copying it. Just run this program and see for yourself. But this is a way in which you could read multi-line, multi-word lines through scanf percentile s. So why did I give this example? I mean, gets and fgets you can use, but then why did I give this example? So that whatever we discussed today comes into, I mean, that is fine to wind up the discussion that we had on scanf and then strings. So these things put all the things into practice, almost all the things into practice, right, which we discussed today. Okay, then shall we end the lecture then? See what we covered today. We covered string literals to the very beginning, the basic program, the string constants. Then we covered why do you need variables, string variables. Then we saw how to operate with pointers and strings. And then finally I showed you an example. I mean, then we showed scanf percentile s, how it behaves. And then I finally showed you how can you read multi-word lines through scanf percentile s. Okay. Any questions, guys? Let me stop the recording. Yes.